Hello and welcome to Work Excel. Let us try to work on VLookup with match to create dynamic VLookup. I am Sanjay Gandhi and we are trying to find out how will VLookup work with match to create dynamic VLookup over here. So first we try to understand how does match work. We first put the function here called max to find the highest sale in the column over here. Enter. And then we try to find out the location for this using 19,000 comma entire sale, for example, comma 0 close match. We find that 19,000 happens to be at fourth location from top. 1 2 3 4, fourth location from top. We then try to find, for example, what is the location of area in this case. Match area comma in the range here, click and shift click to select the range, and then comma 0 to close match. We find that area is at fourth location over here. If I try to, for example, punch in product over here, I can find that match is at third location over here and sale happens to be, for example, at fifth location over here. So this easily serves for me for column index number for VLookup. So we go back to VLookup and try to write VLookup over here in simple form and get to find VLookup for area for employee ID. My employee ID is B19, for example, comma, select the entire range. The range selection for VLookup should not be from the column over here as well as from here, because in this case it will select the entire table to the end of the last row, for example 10 lakh rows, and this may have some merged cells available which may give a wrong count to the people who select or find out column index number manually. Therefore it's the best practice to select the data of VLookup from the data itself. Comma, area happens to be 1 2 3 4th location in my table, so we put 4 over here, comma 0, and save it. So you can notice that we find area for A106 as east over here. To verify if it is fine or not, you can go back and make a change. For example, write a simple value. If that changes and this also changes, that means your function is fine. You can do this across the files, across the sheets also, to verify if the function is fine. So we come back here and try to, for example, find out sale. And we see that it doesn't work to find the sale. I'll have to change the value over here to find sale. So let us in that case try to plug in match over here so that match can find the column for sale, comma, in the row above, comma 0, close match, enter, and we find that sale is available. If I put area, for example, it searches the area. If I put product, for example, it searches the product. So it's working fine. So I need to copy this across to make it more dynamic. In that case, I must lock my cell addresses correctly. So I open VLookup again and check for single references. Whenever I need to copy a function on Excel and refer to single addresses, then you must lock the single address with single lock. Identify the location of single address over here. In this case it is employee ID, and I'd like to have my other IDs below this. That means in the same column. Because my single reference is referring to a same column, for example, so I must lock the column here. F4 to lock the column 3 times, 1 2 3. That's a column lock. As I come to the range over here, remember that when you copy a function in Excel and that function contains a range, then you must lock the range completely. F4 to lock the range. Again select the range and lock it completely. We then come to a single address over here. Because this address happens to be a product over here and my other headers will appear in the same row, for example, so I'll need to lock the row over here. F4 2 times to lock the row, that's 1 and that's 2. That's row lock. And now I can copy my function across and down like this. Click and shift click at the end selection. Control DR to copy across. That works fine. And then I extend my ID. Alphanumeric combo ending with the number increments automatically when you drag with fill handle. And here we drag across and see that all the products are correct. That means my VLookup is working fine. So if I try area here for example, name over here for example, sale here for example, or change that to product, change that to area, and then this to sale for example, it works absolutely fine. So our VLookup is working perfectly fine over here. Let us close on the steps now. Write function VLookup. Write VLookup with B19 as a reference value. Select the range B5 to F16. Write match C18 B4 to F4, C18 B4 to F4, comma 0. Next, write 0 to close VLookup, and finally press enter to close VLookup. So we're done with a smart dynamic VLookup. Thank you. Good day.